Hey guys, how you going? And welcome back to another In the Sheds. We have got some rugby union talent on today. I'm very keen for this. If you are listening on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, or TuneIn, welcome. But we also do have the video on BKR Sport on YouTube, where we're going to be speaking to our guests today, and it's a little bit more personal. Obviously, you get to see us and obviously kind of follow along with us, and it's a little bit better. So if you want to jump onto BKR Sport YouTube, that is probably the place to be. But let's also welcome in our co-host, Mr. Entertain House. How you doing, big fella?
Yeah, going good, mate. I think tonight's guest is going to be an interesting one. I really like a guest who represents their country, and that's exactly what our guest tonight has done.
Well, the thing is, man, is that our guest tonight's been played for the All Blacks. You know, he's definitely, and I've seen him do the Haka as well. Which is pretty full on, and he definitely should be at the front of the Haka with some of the faces he's pulling, which is just incredible. And I can't wait to talk about the Haka as well. It's just, I'm really excited for this one, Hayden. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's real good. Rugby union for me is one of my weakest sports. I think it's one that I haven't completely supported my whole life, and I think the World Cup last year really helped. I really enjoyed watching that while I was in Bali.
Okay, well, let's get into this. So today on the Sheds, we're going to be delving into the world of rugby union for the first time. I'm excited for this because not only are we talking Super Rugby, as I've said, but we are going to be talking about All Blacks and Maori All Blacks. I think that's how you pronounce it. I hope that's how you pronounce it.
Spot on. That's how you say it, bro.
Oh my God, gee whiz, look at me go, son, look at me go. Originating from Rotorua, New Zealand, he began his career with Taranaki before making the big step up to the Hurricanes in 2016. In 2018, the man himself made the switch from Wellington to Hamilton as he signed to play halfback with the Chiefs. Along with this, our guest played with the Maori All Blacks in 2017 and made his debut with the Big Boy All Blacks national squad in 2018. So please join me in welcoming Te Toiroa Tahuriorangi. Was that good? Did I get it?
Yeah, bro, spot on.
Oh.
9 out of 10, bro. 9 out of 10.
Oh, I'm happy.
You can't get the 10, Blaze.
No one can get a 10, bro. Not even myself,
right.
I reckon. These lads, thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, awesome, man. Actually, you know what? Just before we get in, I want Hayden, you were saying you couldn't get a 9 and 10. Well, you give it a crack. Give the name a crack. I had to actually go on YouTube because there's a YouTube where you actually were on for the All Blacks, and it said how to pronounce your name. So I thought I had a pretty good idea of it, but when I went on, I was like, okay, yeah, that's good. But Hayden, go on, you give it a crack, son.
I'm already going to give myself a 4 or 6 out of 10. Let's go. Te Toiroa Tahuriorangi.
Tahuriorangi? What's it? Look, no, man, no.
I'll tell you what, bro. The hardest part is the R's, especially in the Maori, dictionary. Rolling your R's is tough for a lot of people. So to have a lot of vowels and the R's mixed in there.
We'll have to start a poll for the viewers soon. Which moment for Entertain House was more embarrassing, the pronunciation of Te
Well, actually, you know what? Speaking of embarrassing, so we were always, for the listeners and viewers out there, we were planning to have this on a Tuesday night. So we're recording right now on a Tuesday night. Now, last night I had a few technical difficulties, and I was freaking out. So I was like, I messaged him, and I was like, you know what? Let's try and reschedule this. Let's reschedule this for tomorrow if possible, man. And he saw it, and I was like, he's seen it, but he hasn't replied. And then I realized, wait a second, tomorrow is Tuesday, and that's when we originally planned to have it. So, I felt so embarrassed, but, thanks for coming on, man.
Like I said, man, pleasure to be on there.
Yeah, sweet. Well, let's get into it. And how have you been coping through this year? Obviously, it's been a very tough year for all sports, let alone rugby union, which is a very travel-restricted kind of sport.
Yeah, I guess, obviously Super Rugby is you're travelling Australia, South Africa, Japan, Argentina, and I guess as soon as lockdown went ahead, I think it was new to everyone. So I think beforehand it was a lot hearing about it, and then obviously hearing the NBA kind of shutting down kind of gave us a heads up in terms of, okay, this might be happening to us, and so it ended up happening to us. So I think overall we're slowly getting back into our new competition. So I don't know if you know, but we're playing Super Rugby. Yeah, it's more like a Mitre 10 kind of setup, but having your All Blacks guys playing. So it's going to be pretty prestigious competition.
Yeah.
But I guess you wouldn't want to be, anywhere else. You want to kind of see how you test yourself against the best. So for me, personally, in my own opinion, I think it's probably going to be one of the best competitions going around. So
how have you been getting out of the house and getting to training and things like that?
Yeah, it has been man, a shock to the body and shock to the system. Obviously, you spent like 6.5 to 7 weeks in lockdown, and like making that transition from doing nothing to kind of absolutely driving everywhere to kind of get to work and stuff like that has been, I guess it feels like I'm a baby again, you know, like you're walking to running again. That's how I kind of almost feel. So that's how I've been anyway. But I guess like I haven't been more excited, you know, like obviously in lockdown you're a bit restricted from a lot of things. So to finally be able to get it, you know, make some movements and all that stuff, definitely has like been, I guess like I haven't been more excited in terms of training in preseason, you know, but this is pretty much our preseason.
Well, do you think that's going to be a benefit to the actual competition when it gets underway itself? Because, like, obviously you're excited, and I guess pretty much everyone would be excited that they're finally able to get out and they're finally able to have a crack. And another question I'm going to ask as well is that, do you feel like it's been a good thing for the body having that extended break? We've actually spoken about this on previous podcasts before as well, but do you feel like this extended break will be a good thing for the body long term?
I actually do think like having this break is like a blessing in disguise. Obviously, Super Rugby is such a brutal competition, and then even when you have your breaks and your holidays and that, it's quite limited. So having this during the season couldn't have come at a better time. You know, you get to obviously spend a lot of time with your families and loved ones and friends. You know, for me, for example, I got a little boy and a wife who's 7 now. My little boy Thomas is 7 now, and I've kind of missed his whole life just due to rugby and that.
Yeah,
Having him really young and stuff like that. So it's been a good blessing in terms of that, looking at it that way. But in saying that, mate, being 6 to 7 weeks in a household, seeing the same face every day can definitely pay a toll, bro. I can tell you that now. And I just try to make the most of that time, mate. Obviously, due to like, I can probably speak on behalf of a lot of athletes here, like, you know, your time's pretty much limited in terms of holiday and that. So whenever you do, you kind of want to make the most of it, but also you got to get that balance right between training and that. So I just try to make up lost time. Yeah. As you know, athletes kind of not have that how do I say it, like,
well, because you're obviously traveling all the time, and you're obviously doing. Exactly. There's always stuff involved with the game itself. You know, you don't. And we spoke about this with Jesse Paragi.
That's right. Yeah, I've enjoyed this lockdown, and like you said before, I got a bit of niggles that I was carrying during Super Rugby competition. So to have that 6 to 7 weeks off kind of let me just heal myself, I guess. So.
Well, that's good that you see it in a positive as well. Like, that's the thing that I always take out of this. And even though I'm not a player myself, you know, everyone has to look for the positives to the negatives to be able to get through. And I feel like that's a really good thing that you understand that, because a lot of players, as soon as everything happened, would have gotten down and would have thought, like, what's happening? You know, they would have started freaking out. But it's good that you've taken this and understood that, you know, that it is a blessing in disguise, where you've had to, you know, you've been able to be with your family. You've been able to really, you know, recoup lost time. Obviously, you'll never be able to recoup lost time, but you've been able to be a lot more focused on that. So it's awesome that you're able to get that. And do you think that it will be an impact? Like, do you think it will impact your game personally?
In some way, it may do, but I guess like coming back and then giving a 4-week kind of preseason gives you that time to kind of get to where you were. Yeah. All this lockdown started. So I guess for me, like, to be honest, bro, I got injured 2 weeks prior to the lockdown, so I did my knee against the Brumbies, maybe, and
that was the first game of the season, right?
That was maybe like our 4th game, and then the 6th game. That's when the lockdown kind of happened. So I was pretty fortunate, I guess, in terms of having like that 2 weeks, or having that injury kind of, you know, healed over time. Yeah. So like it did kind of impact my training and all that stuff. Like obviously having a knee, having problems with my knee. Obviously I couldn't run properly, and I kind of struggled the first 2 weeks of as soon as we went to lockdown, just due to that. Yeah. Just having no physio to kind of be around me and give me the treatment that I needed. So I had to kind of take responsibility there and try to make sure I was spending enough time to kind of rehab and making sure I wasn't just going out there and trying to, you know, probably expose myself in terms of going out and probably getting injured again and starting back at square one. So I had to kind of take it slowly, I guess. So it was a good opportunity to kind of have that lockdown and invest in my body and that. So it did affect me, I guess. Coming back now, like I said, I haven't been more excited, and my knee is slowly getting there. I'm still having to rehab it and all that stuff, but yeah, it's getting there.
I was going to say, I've always wondered this, so it'd be really good to ask you this because it's something that I've always personally wondered. Do clubs actually put preventative measures, not to protect you from injury, because that obviously you can't prevent that from happening, but when you are injured, do they stop you from certain things, or do they make you attend? You were saying like it was hard to not do physio and things like that. What are the actual preventative measures that clubs take whilst injured?
I guess, you know, like we're grateful in terms of having great trainers and great physios, and it's just for them to kind of understand. Like I said, if I had got injured during the lockdown, I think that would have been a lot harder. But getting injured before the lockdown, kind of, they kind of just gave me information already. So as soon as I went into lockdown, it was pretty much like a prehab kind of situation for me. So I got sent out all these programs that they did for me in terms of strengthening and rehabbing. So I think they've managed me really well, like in terms of that. So I couldn't have, you know, if it was someone else that gave me, it'd probably be hard for them because they wouldn't know what was wrong with my body. So I guess it's any sports industry, you got to get to know that person, and the information that they give you got to trust them that the information that they've given you is the right information. Otherwise, you're just going to be going back around in circles. So we're really grateful for physios and trainers like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, like I'm really excited. Like I'm really excited to see you get back out there. And I was actually really excited about the Chiefs. In my preseason, I did a video on my YouTube channel and I did a preseason predictions, and I actually had you guys top of the conference. I'm really excited about seeing the Chiefs, and I think I tipped the Chiefs to actually win the whole thing. So we're going to get into that in a second though. Before we get into that, I want to get more into how you became a rugby player. Obviously you're from New Zealand, and I guess, was there ever really a choice? Like, did you ever have a choice of it, whether it be rugby union or rugby league? Because obviously rugby union is just the be all and end all.
Yeah, bro. Like, my story's pretty crazy. Like, growing up, I just tried to play every sport and any sport. So it wasn't until high school I had kind of narrowed my options down. So at the time I was pushing for a rugby league contract. I kind of made a pathway through rugby league actually. So I ended up making like the New Zealand under-18s residents for rugby league. So we ended up having a 2-game test against Australia. Even then, like, bro, I enjoyed my time and having those having that experience under the belt. I was really close to kind of pulling trigger and just going overseas and having a couple of trial games for the Storm. And like you said, man, I had to kind of narrow it down. The only reason why I chose rugby was only because it had a better pathway for me. Obviously, having a kid at a young age, at 17 and 18, I kind of had to make a decision purely based on my family. So Taranaki was pretty much the only kind of community and that kind of really helped me and my family. Everyone else was trying to just help me, but I was trying to help, get information if they could really like just give my wife or my partner and something to do just to keep her busy, because we all know, like, you know, if she's happy, you know, you're gonna just go out there and you're probably exactly, bro. And yeah, rugby league was pretty much like, oh no, man, we can only accommodate you. And I just thought, fuck, I'm pretty young here, so either way, whatever decision I make, I can come back later and decide then. And I'm just thankful, man. Like Taranaki actually sat down with me and put a plan in place through academy, through 20s, and then whatever happens there, you know, if you play decent footy, you're Mitre 10. And at the time too, man, like Mitre 10, especially in that community, we're really like lenient in terms of helping out young families, but also making sure whatever you put in, you got given, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
like going over there and putting in mahi and putting in work, they kind of saw that as you know, as like a special person, because a lot of people that go over there tend to rely on their talent. So yeah, I just went over there and obviously did well in the academy and all that stuff, and then managed to pick up a Mitre 10 contract through that. and then and started enjoying myself there. So
Well,
that was the reason why I chose rugby, bro. Like,
I want to ask you, man. You know, what do you think that's actually a big reason why rugby union is so big in New Zealand? Because of the pathway and because of the focus that, for example, Taranaki, how they helped you out. Do you feel like that's a big reason why, say, All Blacks in New Zealand really get around rugby union?
100%, bro. Like, I see a lot of rugby league players that turn to rugby just due to the pathway, and it's, I wouldn't say easier, but it's a lot more, I guess, achievable in terms of rugby league. You tend to find a lot of players just stay in Auckland because that's their comfort zone and they don't want to leave their families, you know. So rugby is probably the only kind of other way where they can, they don't have to cross the ditch. They just have to, you know, move 4 or 5 hours away from their hometown. So yeah, I do feel like rugby has a better pathway here, only here in New Zealand, and that's just due to rugby being the number one sport. I think so. There's a lot more investments and time for you.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense, and I guess that's probably another reason why the Warriors continuously struggle. And that's not an insult to the Warriors, by the way.
Nah.
That's just me saying, like, I guess that's all the real talent, all the big time talent. I guess we are seeing a little bit of a little bit more talent coming in through rugby league, but we all know that the Kiwis, absolutely love your rugby union. So it definitely is that main pathway, and the All Blacks will always profit from that. And when did you figure out that it was a genuine chance of going pro? Because there's a lot of people, when we speak about this quite a lot, you know, there's a lot of people who get to that 13, 14, even 15 age, and they're like, I love playing this. It's a lot of fun, and I really want to play this, but they don't really know how to take that next step, or they don't have the opportunity to take that next step. Like, when did you know you were going to become a pro?
Bro, like, I give a lot of credit to my mentors, bro. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be able to do it by myself. I guess that's pretty cliche. You probably heard that from everyone, but
straight up, man.
For real,
you know,
like,
it's cliche, but it's straight up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, bro. Like, honestly,
Next
like,
up, you got to thank the parents.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. First thing is thank the parents. Obviously, they giving me the God-given talents and all that stuff. So, but and saying mentors, man. Like, I have my uncle at the time. Like, I think I was 16 or 17, and he kind of made me write down my goals in terms of like what next 5 years, whether it was rugby league or rugby. And he just said, okay, what do you really want to become? And I said to him, I want to be an All Black. And no shit, man, when I was writing down I want to be an All Black, my hand was shaking, bro. Like, how crazy, you know, putting pen to paper was, bro. Like, just the power of it. And
yeah, well, I just got a shiver down my spine when you said that.
Bro, honestly, bro, it's so ironic how I made it, but yeah, legit, bro. Like, writing stuff down made me, like, I guess, reflect a lot easier in that kind of way. So I guess you never know when you're going to go pro, bro, unless you know you're playing really well. But you only know when you're playing really well is when you get your coaches coming in and saying, yep, just keep doing what you do, but which is rare. You know, usually you only go see your coaches when it's something you need to work on. So when I was at Taranaki, a lot of those times, like, I didn't actually know I was playing good footy. It was just like, okay, my coach would come in, you know, the academy person would come in and say, just keep doing what you do. And
well,
how are you supposed to, like,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
What you do, but what am I
doing?
Is
that good or bad? Like, yeah, is it good or bad what he's saying? So as soon as I signed on Mitre 10, that's when you kind of, I guess, you start to, like, appreciate what you're doing and, you know, taking time to reflect and trying to make sure you're still learning and growing. But I guess, yeah, it's a tough one because, like I said, you never know when you're going to become pro. It's up to coaches whether they like your playing style or like your attitudes. Like, I guess that's what's what we have here in New Zealand is that we got a lot of players that want to be there, but they show it in a lot of ways, like show it different. Like, for me, example, I'm not the type of person that likes to go and talk to the coaches and you know, do stuff like that. I'd rather let my game kind of speak for itself. And so, yeah, that's how I kind of, I guess, pursued my pathway, was just playing some good footy and then eventually picking up contracts in that. But, man, you got, nowadays, man, 17, 18-year-olds signing massive deals already. And I think when I was that age, I guess I had to kind of wait till I was 20 or 21, you know. But nowadays, man, a lot of young guys are getting picked up a lot earlier than than usual.
Well, do you agree with the kind of the heavy payments made towards younger players nowadays? We were actually speaking about this with Ivan Gonzalez from the Chicago White Sox the other day, and we were basically talking about how there's been a real focus on the finances going towards these really young players who haven't they've shown potential, but the word potential for me is a really, really frustrating word, because it's like they've shown that they could do it, but not that they will do it. And I find that a lot of young players, they can actually lose their way because of too much belief in it. You know what I mean? So, do you agree?
I agree with you, bro. Like, I feel like if they're young, it's almost like you got to try and earn your patch kind of mentality. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, younger guys are getting paid a lot more bigger monies than guys back in those days. You know, like for example, like for me, I guess the way I see it is that as long as they understand like what their value is, obviously you never know what your value is, but you just try and compare yourself, and it's quite a tough one. Like, I kind of see young guys nowadays get picked up a lot earlier, but also drop off, and I think that's what you're talking about. Like,
100%.
and that's just due to them not kind of understanding the professional environment, I guess. So, it's a tough one, because I only worry about myself, to be honest, bro. Like,
of course,
you see it, you see it, but then you don't want to kind of believe it. Like, you just try and, I guess, give them the best advice. But I do see a lot of young guys kind of take it for granted and not kind of earn it. You know what I mean? But mate, like I wouldn't even know, to be honest.
When you were when you won the under-20s competition and played in all 5 matches, was there a sense of belief in yourself to push further at that moment? We're speaking now about kind of how your career started, and I think winning that and the fact that you played in all 5 matches is a big point in regards to taking your career further, and a bit of motivation for yourself, if I'm right.
Yeah, bro, 100%. Obviously, to represent your country in it's over here, it's probably the pinnacle of rugby, you know, playing for your country, and especially for your age, being surrounded by, you know, the top 3 players in that position. And then, like you said, I played all 5 matches, and you do find a lot of belief in yourself. Like, you do believe that you're the best in your age, and you know, that's not arrogant or anything. That's just a lot of confidence.
You have to have that arrogance, man. You have to have that confidence.
Oh, bro, I know.
Do anything.
That's it, bro. Like, for me, I had to kind of, like, I wasn't always in halfback, bro. Like, during my 20s, maybe that was my second year as a halfback. Don't get me wrong, I played halfback throughout my junior years, but going through high school, I was always on the centre and wing, you know, like playing 12 and then playing winger. So going back to halfback in Taranaki, like leaving school in 2013, going to Taranaki and playing a whole year at halfback was like, man, it was such a change to what I was used to. And then obviously making the 20s in 2015 as a halfback kind of made me like realize, oh man, I'm really good at this position. So if I keep carrying on, I will see rewards from it. And I was just thankful, bro. Like, a lot of coaches believed in me. Like, I came to maybe the first camp, which was held into the end of like 2014, which was like in December or something like that. And having good talks to the coaches and just showcasing what I was bringing to the table. And then obviously the second camp, they enjoyed me there. And then getting obviously named in that squad. You're still not guaranteed in your position, so you're going over to World Cup, and you're just on edge all the time. And I think that's the beauty of being young and in a competitive environment, because it kind of brings the best out of you. You can walk towards it, or you know, you can fall off. And I was just, like I said, man, I was just pretty fortunate to be able to just do my thing, and was fortunate to start all of those games. And like I said, it's just due to the coaches believing in me, and that's all you need, bro. Like, you just need one coach to believe in you to bring the best out of you, and that's what happened to me. And that's why I always you know, credited all my coaches for just believing in me.
Well, I guess I 100% have to, like, this whole time you've obviously been really bigging up your coaches, and that's great, because, you know, I guess you do need the coaches because they know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. If they're believing in you, then that's obviously you believe in yourself, and you'll always believe in yourself, and that's why you're at where you are now. But it does. The coaches are a heavy influence as well, because they're the ones selecting, and they're the ones choosing the best. And if they're believing in you and they're backing you in, then that's obviously going to give you that extra confidence. So I think that it's absolutely fantastic that you realise the appreciation for your coaches and for how much they've impacted your game specifically, because not all players do that. A lot of players think that it is just in themselves, or it just is in their quality. And although you do have the quality, it's, I really think that it's great that you appreciate your coaches.
Man, there's like I said, bro, I've never seen anyone do like a one-man team, unless you're a golfer or something like that. But in terms of like a sports team, there's so many people behind the scene that I have to thank, and that's just due to them like putting time into me. Guys like my mentors and guys that I can have personal talks with outside of rugby and stuff like that, just to take the load, share the load, and obviously guys in my rugby team that I can go to, So like I said, man, I've never seen anyone do it by themselves. Like you want to be a part of a team where you can be open, be vulnerable, and it's because it just brings the best out of you. You want to go to battle with someone that's going to die for you. So that's how I see every time I'm in an environment anyway.
I feel like I'll speak a bit more about this when we get later tonight to the All Blacks side of the chat. But I want to ask, you've spoken a lot about the pride of representing the country and winning those games. What's the emotion like physically? Is there blood, sweat and tears put into getting a position for All Blacks or getting a position for a representative team in the country? What's it emotionally like?
Oh, mate, you've nailed it on the head. Like, I guess it's behind the scenes that kind of like showcases your character, and there's a lot of blood, sweat and tears going through, just to represent your country. But I guess we always talk about being in the moment. So for us, it's always not just about chasing the black jersey, it's also winning championships at the Chiefs in order for us to kind of get that, get that edge over other team selections. So that's where we're at the moment. Like, we're training our butts off in terms of this new competition, and a lot of people just see the end product. A lot of people just see
100%.
the games that are played on Saturday and Friday night and stuff like that. So they don't actually see what's happening during the week, and it does pay a toll on you in terms of the amount of training you do, the amount of off field you have to do to kind of make sure you go out there and produce a good game. So everyone just goes out there and nails their, I guess we talk about nailing our own roles, because we're in an environment where, someone else is next to you in your team that knows his role, so you don't really have to worry about him, I guess. So, and that's just booked throughout the week, I guess. Having like really good talks with each other and training really well together, you almost become family, and that's why I think New Zealand's stride is just due to that family kind of orientation.
Well, I want to stay on this track. Actually, we're going to go into the Chiefs, but I do want to keep on this All Blacks track right now, because I think that it is quite good. So I want to ask you, we did briefly speak about when you got selected and the feeling, but how was it, telling your parents that you got selected? Because I've seen a video where you were unbelievably proud. Of course, you'd be unbelievably proud, but are your parents, massive rugby union fans, and how are they feeling when you made the news?
Like, man, it was pretty surreal. Like, I think in 2018 we just played the Sharks over in South Africa, and our coach Colin Cooper stood up at the end of the game and announced that one of the boys had just been announced in the All Blacks team, and we had just lost. So like a lot of the boys are down buzzing, and it was such a who made it, kind of feeling. Yeah. And when he said my name, bro, like, man, I just was like, what the hell, like.
Talking to me?
Yeah. Is he saying my name? I didn't. Yeah, because as a kid you just dream of being like that, being in that team, and I just got flooded with so many memories. And then one thing I do regret about that, bro, like that and the whole announcement and stuff like that, is I didn't ring my parents, bro. I didn't ring anyone. So I tried my thought process back at obviously being named was that they're gonna watch the announcement, but little did I know they weren't, bro. So that they ended up finding out through other people's text messages.
Oh no! Okay, yeah, no.
Yeah, messages. So you probably know by just me saying that how much that kind of didn't go to plan as what I thought it would have.
Yeah.
So like, as soon as they found out though, bro, they were happy for me. They rang me up as soon as they found out. My wife rang me. She was telling me, bloody hell, you should have told me when you knew. You know, I shouldn't have to find out for other people. And then my mum and dad, my dad is a rugby hard man.
Yeah.
Like he was pretty much a father that kind of brought me up through a rugby ball, like kicking the ball to me, passing the ball to me, made me watch like All Blacks games with the fire on and stuff like that. So he kind of installed me and kind of like, I guess, started my pathway through rugby. So for him to be proud of me and stuff like that, that's all you want as a son. So for him to kind of, you know, say that his son's All Black means the world to him.
Yeah, you can hear it in his voice, you know what I mean? Like, you can just hear how proud he is to say it.
That's right, bro. So, yeah, no, it was just a surreal moment. Like I said, man, it was just one of those things like, man, is this real? Am I daydreaming? What's going on here? And then it just, even now, bro, like thinking back now, bro, it's like still hard for me to kind of believe what just happened. And, but it gives you the motivation that you need and like just to get back in there and stuff like that. So,
well, do you feel like, because obviously you played for the Maori All Black first, were you more proud playing for them when you got named, or were you more proud playing for, like, obviously it's proud moment for both, but is there a difference? Because obviously that represents your specific culture, and then that represents New Zealand. Is it the same feeling, or was there? How was it,
bro? I think in terms of like Maori All Blacks, bro, like it's such a unique team. You know, you can only make it if you're Maori. So, they both have their kind of like similarities, but man, putting the AB's jersey on is just a whole nother platform in terms of, I guess, like you're representing not just your family, but everyone, everyone in New Zealand.
Yeah,
so it's a bit more pressure, but don't get it twisted. Like, man, the Maori All Blacks, man, is just something else. You know, you're in an environment where it's just all of it's about is just being Maori and embracing who you are, and so like, man, it's too hard to kind of
compare it. It was like I understand what you're talking about, man. Like, obviously, you know, one is for specific and one is more overall.
I was going to ask, you've spoken about putting the jersey on and the feeling of it and how big it is. I actually want to ask, it might be a bit touchy and personal, but not being selected in the actual All Black World Cup announcement, was there a sense of redemption to just want to put that jersey on, or was experiencing it and representing the country at that level once, could it be a one-time thing, or it's something that you aim to do again?
Yeah, like, bro, like obviously you always want to be in the All Blacks, but something I learned, especially last year, was how much it can be taken away. And I'm thankful and glad that I experienced it at such a young age. Like being 23, missing out on my first World Cup, you know, kind of did hurt. But I'm just glad I went through that really young. You know, it kind of drove me to want to be there the following year and the year after. And that's something as a young guy you kind of take for granted. Like being teams like that, you just don't realize it until it's been snatched from you. You know, it's almost like a bit of a funeral. You probably like sorry, I shouldn't have put it like that, but in terms of how I felt, in terms of how I felt, anyways, like that's how I felt anyway. Someone took it off me, and you just want to get back to it. So I guess like for me now, it's just understanding and knowing why I missed. You know, that's the important thing. Like learning from that. And one thing I did pick out of that was, I guess last year I didn't really come into the season right, you know, in terms of nutrition and all this stuff, like fitness-wise. You know, I kind of was chasing from the get-go, and that was something I kind of took pride in coming into this year, was making sure I put my best foot forward so that I didn't let it slip up again. So, yeah, there was a bit of blessings and also disappointments from that, but I just took the positives out of that and learned from that and accepted that. Yeah,
well, you've just got to use that as motivation for the next one, man, because, you know, there is obviously a World Cup every 4 years, and you'll be 29 the next one comes around, right?
28, bro. I want to try and hit these next two World Cups. Hey, that's my
Yeah.
kind of plans.
Motivation. Let's do it.
That's
Yeah,
it, bro.
exactly right. Well, that's the kind of thing that you need, man. Like there is always those facing adversity moments that everyone faces that you need to realize as that next step is being like, okay, well, they said no to me here. Well, what did I do wrong? And let's get to that next level. And I don't know. I guess it would obviously suck knowing that you had it and then it was taken away. But does that affect your? And I know it probably would. But does that affect you when you're playing for, say, the Chiefs, or you were playing for the Chiefs at the time? Does that affect you in domestically when that kind of thing happens?
Yeah, it does. Like, I ain't gonna lie, it does affect you. But I guess it's like I said, as long as you've learned from it and used that as motivation instead of like wondering what if I did this, blah blah blah, kind of stuff like that. That's when you kind of not moving on. You haven't accepted it, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
And something else I've learned too, bro, is like, I feel like motivation, it's a bit like one day you're motivated, bro, and you'll do absolutely everything, but then the next day you're not motivated. Like, so I found out, like, as long as you're consistent and you've got good habits, bro, like, that's going to probably outweigh motivation. And that's something I've learned.
Well, I agree with you 100% there. I find with YouTube myself as well is that some days I'll be like, you know what, I'm going to pump out 4 or 5 videos. I'm going to smack it out. And then the next day I'm just like, or a week later when it's like, it's just, you just don't feel like it. You don't want to do jack. You just want to sit down and watch some Netflix and just chill. But you have to. And I think the difference, and I've actually realized this since making this podcast, I've realized the difference in not wanting to do something and still doing it, like when those hard moments of not feeling like doing anything but still grinding through. And I guess that would be something, especially with you in sports, is that sometimes you just don't feel like doing jack, and yet you have to go and do it. And that separates the people who won't make the All Blacks from the people who do make the All Blacks. That's
right, bro. That's exactly right. Like, you just got to keep, I guess for us, like, it's, someone could easily take our positions, bro, and that's the reality of our industry and business. It's all business, bro. As much as the team, you love the team. At the end of the day, the team just wants the best people out there, and you just gotta make sure you're that person that suits them. So and it's just due to people that are working hard and staying consistent through that. But yeah, you definitely hit times where you're ultimate motivated. Like. The reality is, like, man, I was young last year and I thought that was going to happen again. And having that adversity made me realize those things, like having good habits, like you said, doing things when you don't really want to, but you're going to benefit from. So, very great learnings for me.
That's fantastic, man. Well, look, I kind of want to move somewhat different. It's still on the same path, but it's still All Blacks. It's still Super Rugby. But I kind of want to ask you about the fact that it is the national sport and the fact that everyone obviously is obsessed with this sport. Do you ever get distracted? Or is that a distraction on your game? Because obviously you've literally got the eyes of, is it 2.5 million population, 3 million of New Zealand?
5 million.
Oh,
yeah.
So,
bigger, double.
5 million there. And then obviously around the world, everyone looks into Super Rugby, and especially New Zealand, because that's the focal point of rugby, in my opinion. Do you ever get distracted by that kind of outside noise of a lot of people watching on?
Earlier in the week you do, bro. You kind of like visualize what's going to be happening, and then I guess as it narrows down to the game, you kind of, man, you're kind of numb. Really, you're like a cold hard killer, just taking on whatever comes, comes in front of you. But I haven't seen anyone that hasn't been that hasn't noticed them. Like, you obviously you do notice distractions, but I guess you just got to understand what your procedure, your process is when that stuff happens. So. I know a lot of boys use that kind of like how do I say it, distraction as a way of like turning it in. Yeah, as motivation and as a way of turning it to a positive. Like, for example, like a lot of especially in the ABs, how we have to do the Haka. So much emotion is flowing through your body. It's realizing after that Haka what you do next. Obviously, your blood's pumping. You just want to go out there and you want to kill. So a lot of boys have their own kind of process to get them back into the moment, to be calm and to understand the game and stuff like that.
Well, when you've just said the Haka, so you've just said the Haka, and that's something I really want to talk about with you, because obviously you'd be really proud, and I've seen you've actually you were definitely one of the more crazier Haka performers, and I love it.
Cheers, brother.
I love the Haka, man. You know, I'm Australian, and although it's something that grinds my gears because I know that it's gonna get us and it's gonna knock the Wallabies down, but I absolutely love watching the Haka, and I will never ever get bored of it. I made a YouTube video saying how much I appreciate it and the respect for it. But obviously, you guys will be well aware that there has been a lot of chatter. There's been a lot of chatter about like the over repetitiveness of it. What would you have to say to that?
I guess, bro, it's like it's tradition, but like as much as people don't like to, obviously it is quite repetitive, and there have been some sayings around maybe just saving it for bigger occasions. But man, when you're an All Black, every occasion's massive, you know, like you
Exactly
just want
right,
to
yeah.
you want to go out there and showcase what it's been all about. And Haka's one of those things, and it's quite unique, you know. Like obviously it's quite, and other people see it as a way of being scary and stuff like that. But I think, yeah, well, honestly, I just feel like I said, like it's always a massive occasion when you're putting on that black jersey. So the Haka is part of that occasion, you know.
100%.
So it'd be quite hard for them to kind of take it away. But yeah, I wouldn't have a clue what the future looks like in that.
Non-rugby related a bit here, what would you say in regards to whether it be family or friends? A lot of the time when NRL players who are transitioning from either rugby union or making a debut for the NRL and have that New Zealand Maori culture. I think I got it right there. Hopefully.
You got it right, bro.
I got it right, yeah. Good. For example, Dylan Brown, who you may know from Parramatta, he made his debut at Penrith last year, and I went to that game and there was a big crowd of people doing the haka that were family and friends. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dean Vare from the Penrith Panthers had it as well. Do you think that type of emotion after a debut game is good, or do you think, as Blaze is saying, it's a kind of overused term for moments like that? And
well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But obviously, there. Let's clarify that. I'm not saying that. That's just what I was bringing up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I man, like, I guess when you see the haka, it's almost like it's a part of that occasion. So I did see when Dean Whare'o, even like one of my boys, Morgan Harper, his family did a haka for him, and you know, it's almost like you got to see it as a way of like the people giving it back to that person, because it's almost like that person has become an icon in terms of in their eyes, you know, not just from their family, but because the haka comes from a community. So like that community is trying to get back to that person. That's how you kind of got to see it, really, like
a coming of age kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like that, but not much people understand that, you know. Like the reason why people do haka to a person that's done a milestone, like whether it's their debut or 100th game, it's on behalf of that community. That's why they end up doing that haka, you know what I mean? It's because those people that ain't there want to show something that they, you know, that kind of like brings everyone to that kind of occasion, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's why a lot of people don't really understand that kind of stuff. And that's why people do hakas.
I guess people just don't understand it because they're not from New Zealand. That's why it's great that, you know, when we do these kind of podcasts where, you know, we get someone who does understand it and can explain it, because I understand that now. I can completely understand it's like a coming of age. It's kind of like a bringing in, immersing everyone in the in the moment. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. And like I said, like, I wasn't the one saying that. I love it. I absolutely love it. I would love to see it every single game, simply because, you know, the Rugby Union isn't played. All Blacks isn't played every single weekend. You know what I mean? Like, it's played for the World Cup. It's played every 4 years, and even like when you play the Bledisloe and stuff like that, it's only like once or twice a year, or even 3 or 4 times a year that you play with the All Blacks. So it's like, I don't understand. There's 350. Is it 355 days in a year? I don't know, something like that. But it's like, there's 4 games in a year, say, or 5 games in a year, and you have to watch it 5 times. Like, what do you do, man? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
That's right, bro.
It's respectful and it's annoying. It's
Yeah.
frustrating me. It frustrates me that people complain.
That's right, bro. Yeah, and I can see why people do, kind of like see it like as a kind of waste of time and stuff like that. And I think it's just due to, I guess, a lot of people probably misunderstand it. You know, like they just see it as
a dance, just like
as a dance and as a thing to kind of market on. I think that's a lot of the controversial factors of it, because you know a lot of people just see that as a marketing kind of how do I say it, kind of thing to do,
like a
the
ploy,
Haka.
kind of marketing ploy. Kind of thing, for, like financial, like whatever.
That's right, bro.
I mean? Yeah.
So I think that's why a lot of those a lot of people have brought it up just due to that. But yeah, the Haka is part of the All Blacks, bro. So yeah, it'd be hard to kind of strip that away.
It's magic, man. Like it's something that when you're at the game, you can feel it in the stadium, you can feel it in the atmosphere. Everyone shuts up. Like everyone shuts up, unless you're certain countries that have.
That's right.
But like, I'm not going to name
I'll
names.
tell you what, bro. I was in the ABs in 2008, and we played England at Twickenham.
Yep.
And it's the first time I've never ever been able to hear the Haka, bro, just due to.
Wow.
The loudness, bro. You got like maybe like 80,000 people, 90,000 people in there, like singing there. I forgot what they.
God Save the Queen.
Yeah, no. It's a.
I know which one you're talking about.
That's not that one.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. It's
yeah. It's like it's I forgot what it is, but they sing
the fire or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
Swing low, sweet chariot.
Swing low, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, swing low, sweet chariot.
And honestly, bro, it was so hard to hear the Haka just because how much people were trying to like, you know.
But did you guys win that game?
Just, bro.
It still was.
It was like, yeah, it was exactly. Yeah, bro. We'll take anything over the Pommies, you know. Like,
yeah, everyone
will. It was a great game. Yeah.
But that's the thing. I find it's something that every time I've seen it disrespected, I've seen the Kiwis come out on top, or I've seen them come through. So, but I want to get into just quickly, because we will start to wrap it up. We have been going for about an hour now, but I want to ask you about the Chiefs real quick, because we did kind of skip over that part of your career. I want to ask you, how do you feel about the Chiefs right now? Do you guys think that you guys are a genuine chance? Like, obviously everything's muddled up, everything's messed up, but in your domestic competition or Trans-Tasman competition, do you guys think you have a genuine chance of taking down the Crusaders this year and just winning it all?
Bro, there's a lot of belief there. Obviously, this group has been with each other for maybe like 2 or 3 years now, so we kind of understand each other. And mate, I'll tell you what, we're due for one.
Yeah.
So the last time we won it was 2013, and we've always come so close, you know. But it's time to put the nail, you know, put the hammer, or put the nail in the coffin. And that's just making sure we take each game as it comes. But I definitely believe like we have the talent and the experience and all that stuff. But man, it's a New Zealand comp, you know, like
it's gonna be very
there's
hard,
no easy, there's no easy game. Like you slip one game because there's no finals, bro. It's all round robin. So if you lose a game, bro, you're pretty much it's going to be a tough gig of you.
Well, the thing as well with Super Rugby is that I find that, look, with no disrespect to Argentina, the Jaguares, and with no disrespect to a couple of the South African teams and Brumbies, I guess, but like I find that New Zealand, all 5 teams are. Well, I'd say maybe 3 teams right now, but for all 5 teams are the top dogs of the entire competition when it's fully running. And I feel like, especially with, say, the Chiefs, the Crusaders, and the Blues, I'd probably say this year. I think the Blues are looking really good this year. They're compared to a few years ago. I think that's what makes this thing you guys are about to embark on so interesting as well, because it's only New Zealand teams, and I personally feel like the New Zealand teams are all above the rest. Like the Jaguares are great, but they're still not. There's a reason why they lost last year in the final, in my opinion, because New Zealand is just New Zealand.
I agree, bro. Like I feel like whenever we play New Zealand games, bro, it's more than a normal game. Like you'll find with New Zealand derbies, bro, we tend to have, like, traditionally it's always been between like 7 points between every game, and that's just due to guys wanting to put their hands up for the AB selections and wanting to outplay the opposition, because you know your opposition are coming after your position. If you see it like that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, bro. When you play the likes of your South Africans and even Australia, bro, like the Brumbies, one of our bogeys team at the moment. Like, man, they just bring something different because they're such a team that
They beat
they're
you this
big,
year,
bro.
yeah?
They beat us here, bro.
Yeah.
They smashed us last year too, bro. It was like 50
That's right.
something.
Yeah, I remember that game. Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So like your teams like that, bro, you're always trying to put your best team forward, but you're trying to prepare as if it's a final. You know what I mean? But they get the Highlanders out, bro, because they're a team that's desperate, bro. Like we in the past have struggled against them, and you wouldn't even like recognize majority of their players, but they just work hard, bro. And then you got Hurricanes who just thrive with momentum and confidence because they're such big ball carriers, bro. Like a lot of them could transition, and you got guys like Nani Lomape and Ben Lamb who are in the back line, bro, who look like you're far out. They look like who in rugby league, like you Latrell Mitchells and all that. It's big ball runners, bro.
I love watching Ngane Lamape. I think I'm actually. So look, when I say I'm a rugby union fan, I love my rugby union. I'm obsessed with my rugby union, but I've never really had a specific team. And I'm from Queensland. I'm from the Gold Coast, so I guess I'd call myself a Reds fan. But ever since, because I'm in Fiji, so my family are all in Fiji, and you guys obviously bring your games over here against the Crusaders a lot, against the Highlanders, and I've always backed in the Chiefs. Ever since I saw, I don't know, were you there with them the 2 years ago when they came back? When you guys went up like 30 points in the first half or 40 points in the first half, and then against the Highlanders, and the game finished like 40-37 or something. It was really close, but the Chiefs came out on top of the end. I've really gotten behind them, and I love watching New Zealand rugby. I just love it. I think every single team is phenomenal. And although the Highlanders, I'm not a big fan of this year, the point of the matter is that they're always there. And the Hurricanes, they've lost players, but they're going to be there. So I really enjoy watching New Zealand rugby. And I guess, I guess I'd probably say if I was to support a New Zealand team, I would definitely be getting behind the Chiefs because ever since I saw them in Fiji, I absolutely love them, man. I absolutely love the way you guys play. And I think that's something that's the best thing. Like, I'm not from New Zealand, but I can get behind how you guys play. I absolutely love it.
Cheers, bro. Yeah. We try and play like a different kind of style. Like, obviously, we got so much pace out wide. We got Damien McKenzie and the likes of Sean Wainuis and Solomon Alamilo. So there's a lot of confidence out there, and we play different to a lot of teams, and I think that's what separates us, I guess. Like, we're not your usual crash and bash team. We like to kind of see where the spaces and places space. Yeah. And I think that's just due to a lot of guys having belief in themselves, like being able to attack from your own trial line. It's ballsy, but the confidence that we kind of have, and the preparation we have throughout the week to give us that confidence is, just due to our coaches and the boys. So in saying that, bro, I was there when we played the Highlanders, bro, and man, it's just crazy heat over there, Sunday we
and the wind that night was insane as well.
Oh, bro, yeah. I remember the day before we had captain's run, and usually the halfbacks box kick from the 22 line onto the post, which is on the try line. And I think me and Brad Webber only did maybe 2 kicks, bro, because it was so windy whenever we put them up. Bro, they just keep flying away because of the wind.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So, yeah, man, it's just ridiculous. But last year was a good, probably the hottest game.
That was incredible. I was there. I vlogged that game. Got behind you guys. That was an incredible game. That was unbelievable. And the atmosphere in Fiji is really fun.
Oh, bro, exactly. Man, you would have just seen how crazy the fans were, and the atmosphere was just awesome. But man, how hot it was. You can get away with just playing in a singlet.
Yeah, man, the humidity here is absolutely mad. But look, just before we jump off now, I want to ask you, what's your passions outside of the game, man? Obviously, you love your rugby and you're all in for rugby, but do you have many passions outside of the game you love doing that you're looking towards in the future?
Bro, I just love, for me, I've always found satisfaction in coaching other people. I just try to take pride in making sure whatever I learned to just share my knowledge, going through great experiences and great learnings, it would be naive for me to kind of keep it to myself. So I was just trying to maybe help out, especially where I'm from, Rotorua people, like Rotorua youth people.
Yeah.
They just struggle in terms of trying to make good decisions, I guess, and making smart decisions. And I just see myself in maybe like making an academy back home and mentoring,
like a youth
stuff like
ambassador
that.
kind of role.
Yeah, bro, like giving back kind of thing. Yeah, that's, I find really high satisfaction in that sort of stuff. So that's something I'll probably look to be doing a bit more, and hence why I'm jumping on this podcast to kind of share my experiences and my knowledge in terms of not just as a rugby player, but just as a human being. You know?
Yeah, exactly right. Well,
That's fantastic.
That's exactly why we do these kind of things, man, because it's all about the stories and it's all about other people listening in and taking note of it and using it themselves. Like, we've spoken to a few people and they're like, they don't like to tell you how to do it. They like to show you how to do it. And when you're speaking here, obviously you're just kind of explaining your experiences, and I guess it's just what people take from it. You know, there are aspects you take from it for yourself, and you know, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on here, and we really do appreciate you.
Cheers, bro. Nah, thanks for having me. Probably like the last thing too, bro, is like, you just gotta find enjoyment, you know, like happiness. Like, you see a lot of players, like especially top athletes, who kind of are doing like unreal rugby players, unreal athletes, but yet they struggle to find their happiness, and that's just because I feel like having to talk to a few of the boys, like, they just feel like at a young age you put so much pressure on yourself, you kind of go away from what you're good at. You know, you kind of go and just, you become something that you know deep down you're not that person. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like eating, you've been told to kind of restrict from eating blah 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 and all that stuff, which is good, which is probably ideal, but you know deep down, if you can balance it right, you're gonna get the best. You're gonna get it better. You're gonna probably get a better outcome than, if you know what I mean. If you can see it like
100%,
that.
yeah.
So like, that's something I've definitely not taken granted, or just appreciating each moment, like enjoying, you know, being at home, and then enjoy being at training, and you know, not just focusing all my eggs on becoming a rugby player.
Living your passion, man. Living
That's
your
right,
passion.
bro.
It's all about living. That's my slogan on BKR Sport. I'm all about living your passion, and that's always what I've been behind. And I guess that's what I'm taking from what you're saying as well.
Yeah, that's it, bro. That's it. Like, just embracing and enjoying every moment. Like, obviously with this COVID was a good eye opener, you know. Just not taking each day for granted. It's actually telling your loved ones that you love them, and being vulnerable, and, you know, doing the things that aren't out of your comfort zone and stuff like that. So something I've tried to take initiative of.
Exactly right, man. I absolutely love that you've said that, and I think the listeners and the viewers will really appreciate you've said that, because it's something that everyone can relate to, and it's something that everyone can take note of. So like I said, man, absolutely massive thanks to you. We're going to put all your social medias and stuff in the links below. Obviously, guys, if you want to go follow him, please do, because, you know, obviously he's a really inspirational guy, and as you guys have heard today, like, it's just really down to earth. And that's why I love these podcasts. Like, I love what I do, because I get to hear stories like this where people are trying to motivate others to be the best they can possibly be via their own story. They're not saying what they think is the best way. They're telling you how they went through it. And that's what I love. And massive thanks to you, brother.
That's why I'm all for these, bro. Like, mate, I'll try and see if any other boys are keen. Like, my bro Sean Wanu, he's got a great story, bro. Like, and he'll love to share his information, and man, it's just touching. Like, everything I've told you, you know, like, we've kind of experienced together, because we grew up in the same kind of like pathway in terms of rugby. Like, you know, we both went to Tapanaki, so he's definitely, I'll see what he's up to anyway, to kind of
awesome, bro. Yeah, that'd be awesome. You know, as the more stories we can get to put out to people, the more chance they have at becoming successful and taking something from it. So yeah, like I said, man, we really appreciate you, and I definitely can't wait to see you go on in the future, and maybe another time we can get you back on when you're donning the All Blacks jersey and having a crack at the Wallabies before the Bledisloe or something like that.
Who knows, bro? Because shipped over to League, just never know, bro. 25.
Yeah, well, the Titans, mate. We're ready for you. Brett, come over to the Titans.
Jakey, bro, Jakey.
No, we need you. No joking. Come on, we need you, please. I'm begging. No, but
see that, bro. Thanks for having me, brother.
Awesome, man. And obviously, Hayden, Entertain House, thank you very much for jumping along as per usual.
Not a problem at all. I spoke at the start about how a union's such not a soft, what's the word? Jesus, not a soft. One of my,
strong word, mate.
one of
Oh, bro, I tell you what, rugby has
it's
becoming
not.
soft, bro.
One of my
Like a lot of these tackles, you can't. You know, I'm all about like hitting hard and like hitting high, bro. But man, you can't even tackle. Yeah, can't even tackle high.
One of my weaker points, and I think this podcast has really helped me in my understanding of rugby, and your story is fantastic. And I can't wait to see your, not just in the game, but outside the game. We've spoken about you wanting to start an academy and things like that. I can't wait to see the future of what you can do, because you're inspirational, man. 100%.
Cheers, bro. Thank you for that.
Perfect.
Really appreciate it.
Guys, obviously that is going to do us for today. So if you are listening on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, or iTunes, we really do appreciate you. Please give us a follow and a rating. We would really appreciate it. Also, if you want to watch the video, then we are on BKR Sport YouTube. We do also have the In the Sheds podcast clips page, where we get little clips out of this and we chuck them on there so you guys can devour that content and just those little snippets so that you get the specifics. But also, obviously, we really do appreciate you guys for listening in as per always, and we do hope you've listened. You've learned something from this, because we definitely learn something every single time. Obviously, guys, go and hit that subscribe button, ding-a-ling-a-ling notification bell, and hit a big thumbs up. And we do appreciate you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you. We'll see you on Wednesday for another live chat. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Catch you later.